Do not spend more than 30% of that credit card. Obviously pay it off every single month. Do not, if you miss a payment, you just screw the whole thing up. Like,
Yeah.
do not.
Yeah,
Do not miss a
payments stay on
payment.
your credit report for like 6 or 7 years. So.
It's like, come on, guys. Like, let's follow the basics.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast, Married and Business. Today, we're really excited. We have a special guest, Sarah Kurtenbach, and Sarah and I met each other in 2009 at our church, your women's small group. So, Sarah, I'll let you take over. Can you tell us a little bit about your background when you got started?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jen and Kyle. I so appreciate it. So I actually grew up in South Dakota. So yes, people actually live in South Dakota. And then after college, I moved to Atlanta where I met Jen and Kyle. I started working for a Facebook technology company. I was their second employee. We were building tech for Facebook for their advertising platform, working with big brands and agencies. After living in Atlanta for 2 years, they moved me up to New York City to open up their New York office. And I proceeded to live in New York City for 4 years. During that time, that company was actually acquired for almost $100 million. We were one of the top 10 acquisitions in New York City when that happened. So what a wild ride, right? Starting as a second employee of a company and then getting all the way to an acquisition. And then I worked post-acquisition for the company that acquired us. They were a Fortune 500 media company. At the age of 27, they promoted me to be VP, and I was one of the youngest VPs in the history of their company. And then my life totally changed because of a blind date. So
not that.
I was set up on my first and last blind date when I went home to South Dakota for Christmas at the age of 27. I fell in love with this man. His name is Chad Kurtenbach. We dated long distance because I was still living in New York City. He was living in South Dakota. So we dated long distance, but 8 months after we met, he proposed. And then we got married 6 months after that. So I quit my job in New York City. I moved home to South Dakota and I started a consulting company. And I consulted mainly on social media ads, influencer marketing, and working with technology startups. I did that for about 8 years. And then now, most recently, I'm getting ready to shut down my consulting company to start a brand new business called MoveHER Money. And MoveHER Money is going to be digital courses and education to teach high school and college girls all about money, finances, taxes, debt, how to stay away from it, loans, and so many things that girls this age really need to know about money.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a
big thing now is so many schools, and you get out of school and you don't know how to manage your credit cards, and that was a problem for me. I'll admit it. I got into college and go, hey, it seemed like free money at the time, and then down the road ended up having to get it all paid back. And luckily, we got a business, and I was able to stay out of debt. But yeah, it's a huge thing for people. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the content you're going to be providing and where it'll be available?
Yeah, absolutely. So the courses as a whole, there's one course built for high school girls and one course built for college girls. This is the beginning. I'm going to probably expand and tweak a lot of things as I get feedback and as the company grows. But some of the initial feedback I got was we want 2 separate courses, one for the certain stage of life that girls are in. And they really want to be able to learn things within their control. So what I mean by that is girls have told me we want to be able to start and pause the courses as often as we need, because if we have to stop to study for a test or go to basketball practice or go to our part-time job. So girls are able to start and pause as often as they want. In total, it'll take girls about maybe 7 to 8 hours to go through the full course. Because there's 5 modules, there's 18 chapters, there's over 250 lessons, over 80 videos,
my goodness,
a ton of quizzes. Like, almost think of this, guys, as this is like a college course to teach girls about money, but it's adaptable and in the way that girls like to learn. Because I'm not coming across as a teacher at school. I'm not coming across as a mom. I'm coming across as a big sister, as a mentor
Like
who
the
just
cool aunt. Yeah.
the cool aunt. I'm the cool aunt, man. And so girls need to learn in a fun and an engaging way, right? They spend so much time at school. They don't want to learn anything else in a school atmosphere. They want to learn it in a fun, cool atmosphere. So that's what I'm building for them.
Awesome. And it's like, we don't have a lot of time. We have maybe 10, 20 minutes here and there where we have some downtime, and then we, do the next thing. I think it's awesome that you have those smaller, almost lessons like that.
Yeah, so I'm curious as a guy. So what's different in how you're tailoring it to women versus what you're tailoring to men?
Probably everything.
So I get asked that all the time, you guys. So the company is called MoveHER Money. So I get asked, are you going to build a Move Him Money? Because the guys need to hear this too. So 100% right. Guys need to learn this, and boys need to understand this. But I am building this for girls, and it's for a couple different reasons. Number one, I really believe that God is positioning me to be the voice for girls. I shouldn't be the voice for boys. I think that boys need to learn from a man. Boys need to learn from a man. So I feel like God's positioning me to be the voice for girls. And also back when I was in college, I went to a church and I was prophesied over. And it was a very significant moment for my life because I really felt like God was speaking deeply to me. And when I was prophesied over, they kept speaking about high school and college girls. And college girls, like, Sarah, this is going to be the core group of people that you can change their life. So ever since that happened, I just really try to be in tune to that. I've mentored and led Bible studies for high school and college girls for over 10 years. So I just also know that that's the calling that God has in my life, is to be the voice for that group of girls within that age range.
Well, Sarah, that's really awesome what you're putting together there. So now you've got a family, you got a husband, got some kids. Tell us how it all intertwines with your business. How do you balance the two?
Yes. So I am married, and then we have a boy who is 4 and a girl who just turned 2 last month. And I will say, before I even started my consulting business 8 years ago, I got some really amazing advice. It's probably some of the top advice I ever got from one of my mentors. And she said, Sarah, as you look to starting businesses and building businesses, first, imagine what your dream life and lifestyle is. Her name is Genevieve Boss, and she lives in Atlanta. She's a super successful businesswoman. But she's like, you need to think about this first, because if your dream lifestyle is to go to an office and manage a bunch of employees and own an office building, then build a business to do that. As I started thinking more about that, I thought, man, actually my personal dream is not to have to go to an office building. It's not to have to manage a bunch of employees. I want 3 things. I want time, freedom, and flexibility. So basically, I want to be able to work wherever my laptop is, wherever my phone is, wherever I'm located. And I also want to be able to work with other motivated, like, individuals, business owners, consultants. So that's why I purposely built my consulting company to be that way, where wherever my laptop was, I could work and it didn't disturb that flow of work at all. And then now same with MoveHER Money. So I say that because now, going back to your question about family, I purposely built that so that as my husband and I became parents and we started our family, I would have the ability and the freedom and the choices to decide how often I worked, when I worked, have the ability to also work from home. So when my babies were really little, I could still be there for them. I could do preschool drop-offs and pickups. So I purposely built my businesses to be able to do that. I will say right now, things are kind of crazy because I'm getting ready to launch MoveHER Money. And at the same time, our nanny, who was our core person to come help watch the kids, because you guys know, when you have littles at home, it's really hard to get concentrated work done. It is impossible. So our nanny is just starting her maternity leave. So I'm also starting this business with very little help with our children. We have a new nanny who's going to be starting in 2 months. But for the next 2 months, I'm just going to have to be really flexible, right? And I think, for me, that means adapting to, I won't be able to work during the day while I have my kids. I'm going to have to work at night while they're sleeping. And I'm going to have to ask my husband, hey, can you take the kids out of the house for 2 hours on a Sunday so I can get some undisturbed work done? It just means asking for help from a bunch of people. I'm at my parents' house right now because I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be on my friend's podcast. Can you please watch our daughter Ava? So I'm at my parents' house. You just have to be so adaptable and flexible and just know that things aren't going to be perfect. You're going to have to reschedule things. Maybe like your baby's going to have to join you while you're on a conference call. That's just what life is. And that's what a lot of us are doing. So it's actually very relatable.
You touched on two big things that I always talk about when we're mentoring people. One is start at the end game. Start at what you really want to have at the end, whether it's, a certain amount of income, a certain lifestyle, and then build your business back from there. That's what we did with ours. We didn't really want anything when we had an office and things like that. Everything we do with the trucking company, believe it or not, is home-based.
When we started the business, we knew we were coming from situations with Kyle. I have a good background with work, but we wanted him to be able to be home with the family when I was struggling. And it wasn't until he gave his notice that they're like, oh, well, you can work from home. And we're like, we needed that a year ago, not now. Like, now we're ready to do our own thing. So having that flexibility, I think, is so important. And now, post-COVID, I think everyone's being very flexible. We had to adapt. But, for you and other people that worked from home before, we kind of already had a head start on that.
There's no perfect timing for anything, right? So you just have to work through it. It's about owning a business. It's about solving problems and figuring those out and then get everything got up and going. And once you're set up, then you don't have those problems anymore.
Multiple years ago, there was this hilarious Wells Fargo commercial, and it was geared towards business owners about all their business products. And it showed a guy working in his garage, like a makeshift desk work area in his garage. And his phone rang and he answered the phone. He goes, hello, can we do that? Sure, we can do that. And you can tell he actually did not do that, but he was going to just figure it out, right? Because that's what you do as a business owner. And so, I think that's kind of what it's all about, is that when you're an entrepreneur, when you start a business, holy cow, you are going to be doing things that you never thought you were going to do. And you're just going to have to be so flexible and just also know that done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
If you wait till it's perfect, you'll never launch your company. So,
yeah.
And that's what we did too. We had to take that step in faith, because if you wait till the perfect time to start a business, you're never going to start it. You have to jump in. You have to take that leap of faith. And that's what you did. And I think all the successful entrepreneurs have to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I also really believe that God has specific callings on our life during certain seasons of our life. So what you do in one season might be different than the other. And I bring that up because when I was in my consulting, I felt that at that time, that was a good thing for me to do. But I really started feeling that God had different plans for me. I will say I did not listen at first. So I guess maybe one thing, listen to the Holy Spirit, right? If he's talking to you, listen to him, because his plans are way better for your life than what your plans are. But I didn't listen because I knew what to do in my consulting business. I knew how to help clients. I knew how to make money. And then when I felt this tug in my heart of Sarah, you're supposed to be doing something different. I'm like, well, what is that? I don't even know what that is. So I don't even know what to follow. And then I think what happens sometimes is when you do not listen to the Holy Spirit, when you don't listen to God's calling in your life, he will not even just shut doors. He will slam doors. He will slam doors in your face because it's not the path you're supposed to be going down. And at first it's very, very abrupt. But sometimes he has to do that so you'll actually listen to him. And he did that to me because in my consulting company just last year, I had a major client. I had worked with them for over 3 years. I worked with them 4 days a week. So they were almost like a full-time gig. I had equity in their company. I was literally man, if they get acquired, this is my game plan. And then what happened on a Friday is they sent out a company-wide Slack notification. They're like, hey, we're having an all-hands-on-deck meeting at noon, which was in a couple hours. Everybody has to be there. And on that Slack, they said, we're shutting down the company at 5 p.m. today. So use the rest of the time today to wrap up everything else you need to do.
What?
Yes, right? So God's slamming doors in our faces.
Wow.
He's like, something new now.
I know. I'm like, Well, my calendar just really opened up, God, you know? And my initial thought was, find another client, keep consulting, find another client. And I really felt God like telling me deep in my soul and in my gut, like, Sarah, you need to listen. Like, I'm slamming doors in your face because you are not listening. You need to listen.
Yeah.
I made the choice to listen. And you guys, shortly after that was when God really presented the need of girls who need to learn about money. And just like the financial crisis, the student loan crisis, there's all these financial crises because girls are not being taught about money. And I felt him saying, you need to teach them because we can't rely on schools to teach them. We can't rely on the government to teach them. And
I get so annoyed with that. I'm like, they need a class on finances before you graduate high school.
yeah, it's like before we learn to like parallelograms or even things you were like, I will never use that again in my life. And also sadly, we can't rely on parents to teach kids either because a majority of Americans are financially illiterate. So if the girls aren't learning at home, if they're not learning at school, if they're not learning in college, where are they learning? I'll tell you where they're learning from. They're learning from credit card companies and loan companies saying like, we will help you, use us in case of an emergency. That's not who girls should be learning from. So that's why I really feel like God was like, you need to be the voice, Sarah. The girls need to learn and it's time. So that's why I'm doing this right now.
I had a high school girl that I talked to and she said, yeah, I need to get a credit card so I can build credit. And I'm thinking to myself, you can do it other ways. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I love this question, Jen. So the term you need to build your credit or you need a good credit score is marketed so much to high school and college students. And they do that because like credit card companies are smart. They know that the majority of high school and college students don't even truly know what a credit card is. They don't know what they're signing up for. They don't know what an APR is. They don't know how to make payments, but they sign up because of all these marketing ploys, whether it's you need to build your credit, you'll get a free t-shirt, you'll get $50 off your purchase at Victoria's Secret, whatever it is. So in reality, the only time in your life you need a good credit score is if you're going to take out debt. Now, in reality, if you look at debt and what I teach girls, so I specifically teach girls in my course how to buy a car in cash and how to pay for college in cash. So if girls follow this course, they should not need to take out a car loan. They should not need to take out student loans, okay? So because of that, you do not, first of all, no high school student should ever need a credit card, ever. It's way too dangerous for them. It's way too tempting for them. They don't know how to use it and they will get themselves in major trouble from the very beginning and be clawing their way out the rest of their life. Now, when it comes to college, okay, if you look at the type of debt that is okay to take out, it's number one, a mortgage, okay? That is something that is okay to take out. And the other thing is if you're looking to build a business or like make an investment, and you might need to get some extra cash because of that, potentially, right? Potentially, it depends on what your situation is. I always say just try to stay out of it if you can. Bootstrap it, try to stay away from debt. So when it comes to that, the other thing that most people think is they're like, well, I need to build credit for years to be able to get a good credit score. But that's another lie. You actually only need 3 to 6 months. So what I teach girls is if you are in college and when you get to the point in your life where you think you're going to buy a house, most people aren't buying a house right out of college, right, guys? They're living in apartments, they're renting. So most of the time, a college student does not need a credit card. But when you get to the point where you want to buy a house or you get married, it's time to settle down, how you can build up your credit very wisely is you get a credit card with a low balance, okay? So let's say it's like a $500 balance credit card. You use that credit card for 3 to 6 months and do not spend more than 30% of your balance. So if you get a $500 credit card, spend an average of $100 per month. And be very, is that gas? Is that just like one load of groceries? What is that for you, right? You need to be the one to decide, what am I going to do this? But do not spend more than 30% of that credit card. Obviously, pay it off every single month. Do not, if you miss a payment, you just screw the whole thing up. Do not miss a payment.
On your credit report for like 6 or 7 years. So.
It's like, come on, guys. Let's follow the basics. So pay it off every single month. If you follow that plan for 3 to 6 months, you will actually create a really good credit score for you. And now you'll have the ability to get a better rate for your mortgage. It takes 3 to 6 months with that simple strategy. You do not need a credit card for years. You do not need to be spending thousands of dollars on a credit card. But that's what's marketed to young adults and individuals, and it's a total lie.
Yeah, and your credit score when you're using a mortgage is only part of the equation. The rest of it's income and all the equity to the house and all these other things. So, it's not not necessarily the biggest piece of getting a mortgage either.
Exactly. Like I teach girls, I basically ask the question, what's more important at the age you are in high school and college? Is it building a credit score, or is it learning how to make and save money? Make and save money, baby. That's what you should be focused on, is making, saving, investing money. Don't worry about a credit score right now, because most likely you won't be buying a house right out of college. And if you are, then just follow that game plan.
Yeah, if you are, you're doing really well. So
right?
Yeah, right.
Doing better than I was at that time.
I know.
Sarah, how did you learn all about this? You're teaching me things that I didn't even know about the 3 to 6 months. I didn't even know that. How did you learn all this?
So it's a couple things. I will say I was one of the lucky ones where my parents did an amazing job teaching me about money. I remember my parents teaching me about money and making me financially independent in 4th grade. So in fourth grade, my dad took me to a bank, helped me open up a checking account, taught me how to write a check, balance a checkbook. And he goes, all right, Sarah, from now on, your mother and I will pay for your sport equipment, like your basketball shoes, your soccer cleats, and we'll also pay for $100 worth of school clothes or church clothes. Outside of that, you're on your own. If you want to go out to eat with friends, that's on your own. If you want to buy this toy, that's on your own. If you want this swimming suit, that's on your own. That was in 4th grade. So I think first of all, children are capable of so much more than we give them credit for. Like a 4th grader will figure it out. You know what I mean? So they did a good job teaching me, and they did a really good job not enabling me. They told me early on, they're like, you're going to have to buy your car in cash. You're going to have to figure out your college. So my parents really set me up to do that. So that's one thing of why I learned so much, is because of my parents teaching me and not enabling me. And then I will say too, as I started building this course, I did so much research, you guys. I took so many online classes. I took so many Dave Ramsey classes. And then I talked to all the experts. I talked to 4 financial advisors. I talked to mortgage loan investors. That's actually where I learned the tip about you only need to get a credit card 3 to 6 months before a mortgage. I learned that from a mortgage loan operator and investor. And so that's how I really got to start to learn everything, from doing a lot of research as well as I built MoveHER Money.
Oh my gosh, you have done so much, and I think this is going to be so amazing for young girls and really change the course of lives. So I'm excited for you and MoveHER Money.
Thank you. I am so excited too. And I'll tell you, when I think of the big vision of this, it's more than just teaching girls how to budget their life. Because if you look at the bigger picture, the number one cause of divorce is money, and it's fights about money. So it's like, imagine with me, guys, like, what if girls learning about money in high school and college could help eliminate money fights in their future marriage? This could literally save marriages. Or imagine, what if girls learning about money now and how to invest now, how to stay out of debt now, could change generational wealth for their children, for their grandchildren, for their whole family. Like, this can happen. Like, it's bigger than just a balance sheet. It's really changing marriages and changing generational wealth for girls.
It's awesome. Do you find that women, have you done any research and found that kind of women need more finances or anything? Actually, that was a big thing with our relationship, is Jen handles most of the finances. I was not good at it at all, and
you got that credit score on it, Emily.
That was a big thing to start our business. Was she'd help get a lot of things squared away for me, that habits that I had growing up that weren't great, and so then when we got to start our business, all we had was a good credit score, and that allowed us to get the startup capital we needed to get going. So, but have you found that women might end up being better managers, or just they're the ones that kind of take charge of the finances in general?
You know, I will say it's kind of all over the board because I feel like it really comes down to the individual. Like, I'm very much like you, Jen, where I handle our taxes. I'm the one who speaks to our financial advisors, but that's because I like that. Like, I personally am a nerd when it comes to money and dollars and numbers. Like, I like that. There's other people that just don't like that. So I think that's why, especially when it comes to a marriage, there's usually someone who's a spender and a saver, and they get married. There's usually someone who likes numbers and someone who doesn't like numbers, and they get married. I think where the issue comes into play is if the person who doesn't like the numbers just thinks, my spouse has it handled, I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because you need to know. You need to know how much you have. You need to know how much you're making every year. You need to know where your money is going, where it's invested, all of your passwords. Like, you need to know. I cannot tell you how many women I've talked to that actually don't know anything. They're totally blind. And luckily, they're married to good guys that aren't taking advantage of them. But they need to know. Like, you need to know where your money is. So I just encourage women to do that. Like, you don't have to be in charge of everything. At least know.
Have seen it and understand.
Yes.
That's something we did early on in our relationship too, because I think initially when we got married, you know, people was like, "I'll keep everything separate." So we had separate accounts and everything.
Yeah.
And I had a big job. Jen didn't have a great job at the time, and so
it was a pain a lot.
Yeah.
To say that.
And Jen was always like, "We don't have any money." I was like, "Well, we got plenty of money."
And I only felt my day. Yeah.
But that was a big thing right on. I was like, "Okay, we're combining everything because I need to know, hey, we're doing okay over here." So, but and that allowed her then to kind of take charge and say, "Hey, Kyle, there's some stuff that I see over here that needs to be improved." And as we went through, she really took charge of that and helped me break a lot of those habits. So
yeah, go Jen. I mean, I will say, I can understand why when people get married, they still keep their accounts separate. I can understand that, especially if you were an independent individual for many years. However, what I believe is the best approach, and also Dave Ramsey speaks this too, and it's even biblical. Like, a marriage is a merger. You're not two individuals anymore. You are one unit. And my question too, like for women, is if you are like merging everything that you have, your mind, your soul, your body, if you're giving everything to your husband, why are you also not combining your finances? Like, that's like, so I do believe that merging your finances together is way healthier in your marriage than keeping them separate. Yeah, is my belief.
Yeah. I will say one thing that helps us is communication. Sometimes we can both be a little bit spenders and then we're savers too. But we talk about it. If it's more than like $100 purchase, we're talking about it. Hey, I'm thinking of getting that. What do you think? And I'm like, well, do we need that right now? Or he's like, I don't know. But if we're sharing money, you have to talk about how you're both spending it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that talk. I think if it's over for the business, if it's over like $2,000, it's got to have a discussion. There's nothing can be done without that because, surprise. Hey, let's bought a bunch of trucks. We're getting them on the road. Wait a minute.
I would flip out if he said that. I would lose my mind. I could get a little bit dramatic sometimes.
You don't understand. What's the life of the dealer? Had to do it.
We
don't do that.
We never buy things because they're a once in a lifetime deal. That's kind of
that's an
inside joke, but yeah.
Yes, I think that is so smart and so wise for you guys to do that because that really is a main key for money and for everything in your marriage, right? Like everything in your marriage kind of like rolls down to like faith, communication. How are you guys going to believe about that, and how are you guys going to speak about that? Something too that Chad and I have done, and we did this before we got married, is we merged all of our accounts together, but then we do have our own separate spending accounts. So literally, like in our bank, when you log in, it's like Sarah's fun account. We call it our fun accounts. I'm like, here's Sarah's fun account, here's Chad's fun account, and we almost get an allowance every month, where every month there's an automatic deposit.
Doing it with that.
Yep. And then that way we can each spend our fun money on anything we want and not feel bad about it. If I want to go get a mani-pedi, I can do that, not have to like ask Chad about it because it's in my fun money. But if it's going to be a part of your joint account, that is going to be a number that's important to you, whether it's $100, $1,000, then absolutely that's when you got to talk about it with your spouse and communicate it.
All right. Sarah, thank you so much for being on our podcast. I think we can both agree we learned a lot. Can you give us some final thoughts and how we can learn more, where we can find contact information for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much again for having me here. And I love what you're doing, talking about marriage and faith and family and business. They're all super important topics. So I love it. But where people can find me, there's 3 core places. So the website is MoveHER.money. That's the core website that will contain a lot of information about the courses. You can purchase the courses there. There's also a bunch of freebies. So you can get like the top recommended books for girls, easy ways for girls to make money. So go there, check out the freebies. And then on Instagram, my personal handle is at Sarah with an H, Kurtenbach, at Sarah Kurtenbach. And then the business is at MoveHER Money.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah, for being on the show today. It was great learning everything you're doing, and awesome product that you got coming out, and best of luck with getting it launched and going through all the challenges you have with that. But I know you'll do great, and congratulations.